Hello, welcome back. The last video that I made, I mentioned I was going to give some information to you about Angelman syndrome and how we finally got a diagnosis with my grandson Alex. He was first diagnosed with cerebral palsy, and so that's what we thought he had from I think about a year of age. We also noticed around that time that he would have like the petit mal seizures, the staring, or the eyes fluttering. And so we started taking him early on to the doctor there at UCD Davis in Sacramento. Now, he would be visited by a psychologist according to his program that he had. They would check him once a year. Well, this one year, and it was in 1992, I believe, we got a visit from the psychologist. This would be after his meeting with Alex and the evaluation. So he came and visited us and said, don't want to alarm you. And I'm thinking, what alarm? You know, he has cerebral palsy. What more could he tell us? And that would make us feel any worse than that. And he said, I think you might want to check with your neurologist to have him tested for Angelman syndrome. And I said, well, what is that? Never heard of it. He said, Angelman syndrome is not very well known, and we're talking 1992. He said there's not too much literature on it. He said, but the characteristics of Alex, the no speech, the seizures, the hand flapping, which he did a lot of that, all are behaviors of Angelman syndrome. And I said, well, nothing was said about that. He was diagnosed as cerebral palsy because he couldn't walk, he had no muscle tone in his legs and so forth and so on. And he recommended we make an appointment with the doctor. At that point I thought, so what? I thought, you know, why do I need another diagnosis? You know, this one was bad enough, I thought. And I really didn't think it was necessary. Well, one day I was home watching TV, and I was watching a program called The Bill Donahue Show. And some of you may know what that is, who that is, and he used to have a daily program, where he had different guests. Well, that day that I was watching it, he was interviewing the parents of an Angelman syndrome child. It was a girl. And so, of course, I listened intently because I recognized that name, Angelman syndrome. And so I'm listening and I'm watching. I'm watching the girl. Her behavior was the same that I was experiencing with Alex, with the hand flapping and no speech, but noises, you know, grunts and so forth. And so I immediately became interested. And that very same day, I made an appointment to see the doctor. Well, we kept the appointment. I went in and talked to Dr. Gosby, and he said, you know, we can get a blood test and we'll send it off to the geneticist. And they did. And on August 7th, the results were in. On August 17th of 1992, I received my copy. So it mentions here a deletion of a chromosome 15. I found out, well, let me read this part to you. It says there is an interstitial deletion involving chromosome 15q12, which is seen in Angelman syndrome. So that confirmed that he did have Angelman syndrome. The interesting part of this is that Dr. Gosby began testing his other patients. And when he did, he found that his other patients who had cerebral palsy were in fact carrying Angelman syndrome. You know, with Angelman kids or persons, their sleep habits are different. Although Alex is on a good routine of sleep, he does have times where he wakes up during the night, and we worry about him because we don't know if he's going to get off and start walking around and injure himself. But his room is compact, and Alex proofed it, so there's nothing really he could get into that would harm him. And our room is near his, so we would hear him if he was getting in trouble of any kind. And we have a camera also to check on him during the night, make sure he's fast asleep.
Now, this footage of the camera that we were checking on him that night, and it started before 2 o'clock in the morning. We have quite a few minutes of him moving around, and we couldn't figure out what he was trying to do. He went to sit down, and then he started moving his foot around. He was looking for something. Now, totally black in this room. It's just totally dark. He can't see anything. Of course, the camera picks it up differently, but he's sitting there and he's looking around, and this is why it's so useful to have the camera, because we don't know what he may be up to. He woke up one morning a couple of years ago with a gash on his head. We don't know how he got it. He was happy. And of course we had to go get him stitched.
Yes, he definitely was looking for something, as we found out. We eventually went in there, turned on the light, and he was looking for a piece of plastic that he had in his hand, that it fell off the bed, and he eagerly went looking for it, touching around to see if he could find it. This gives you an indication of how his memory, he remembers, and also his determination when he wants something bad enough. If you like this video, the content of our channel, share it with others. Maybe someone that you know that is caregiving that could use a little pointers or would be interested in what we present. Subscribe and click like if you like this video.